Thank you. Thank you. So, what comes up for everyone? What are you feeling? What are you processing? Nefertiti, thank you. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of you. I'm internalizing a lot too. Because I want to have those conversations about, especially about military and war. Can you tell us a little bit more about your relationship with family that's in the military? Now, did I hear that correctly? Were you in the military?
No, I was not in the military, but I have an uncle who served in Desert Storm. He did, I believe, 3 tours.
Hmm.
And I have a father who raised me. He was in the World War.
Hmm.
I have numerous other family members, but those two closest to me, my grandfather, father, he was stationed in overseas. And that's where my aunt was born. And yes, the stories, the choices they had to make that they lived with their whole life and continue to live with, you know, they're passed through our entire world. I take to heart it's how my family made their home was a government granted land in White's Bogs, which is a protected piece of property here in Pine Barrens, New Jersey. It's forest that you don't find anywhere else in the world, and our government allotted land for families to build there. And it used to just be a dirt road, and now it has its own development. So the military played a significant role in my family, indeed.
Hmm.
I'm so moved by what you presented, Nefertiti. Um, wow, it's just really beautiful from two perspectives. One, I love how you kind of break down the words. Um, I'm learning more and more about that, the roots of the words, and I think there's someone publishing a book like the hieroglyphics of life or something, but it's something like where A to Z, the letters all have a story, and when you put those letters together, they create even a bigger story. So the fact that you're looking in that direction, because I love doing that too in my program, Visionality, is really examining words, because words are either already loaded and we need to shake off that debris that's on them and reframe, recreate, I don't know, a different meaning, so that we do live different lives. Because I think the meanings that we attach to certain words or certain phrases is what colors and filters our experience, for sure. So there's that. Then there's just the honoring that you bring to the veterans, to the military, specifically for me, the veterans. I did a lot of work, and haven't just recently, but in the last couple of years, I worked with about 24 women who were returning veterans. They were either in the Navy, the different branches, and I had the most beautiful experience with them, because we were there, me and a few other people there, to help them um, decompress from their experience, really look at their experience, and start to talk about it in different ways that are more towards healing. And some of the things that they experienced, I couldn't even believe happens. Some of the things that they have to deal with, sometimes misinformation, and then they have to just show up somewhere in a foreign country and just start building something to protect, and they have to make sense of stuff that doesn't make sense, and they have to make sense of it. So they do what they can, and then what that causes for them personally, and then what they have to carry around sometimes for years before they can actually um, say it out loud, what their experience is, and release it, is very, should be more readily available for people. So thank you for that, because you honor the work that people like I and you do for them. You honor their work, in the world. And our intention was always to create peaceful warriors, because there is need. there is need for them out there in the world, and we don't honor them as much as we should. Thank you.
So I'll go next. I mean, for me, the subject is almost too overwhelming to talk about in many respects. You know, there's just so much war. It's like, if you look at how much we spend on the military, it's like the graph is like this. And apparently, if you look at what America spends as being this, if we were to turn around the whole climate problem in the world, we'd need a spend of something like this, which is a proportion of just what America spends on the military. And it's just a huge thing, and it's shrouded in duplicity. So many innocent people whose lives are lost or shattered, or you know, post-traumatic stress, all kinds of things. People in the military are also, a lot of them become abusers. A lot of them are involved in paedophilia. And I knew somebody who was a Punjabi like me, and we kind of got quite close. Not like in any other sense, other than sometimes when you meet a stranger, you can tell them something that you maybe haven't told other people. So we shared like a couple of little nuggets like that. And then I found out that he was actually a paedophile. And the other thing is, you know, that's one of the main reasons that I have become an activist, is because of what my government decided to do by bombing Syria when nobody else in England wanted that. But it suits the powers that be, it suits the politicians because they're all in each other's pockets. And so we don't get a choice in it. And so to have innocent young men go out there because somebody's very, very greedy for power and control, you know, it's huge. And one of the things that Joe Biden has done that I heard that I really approve of is that he stopped Saudi Arabia bombing the Yemen through funding that gets there from America and the West. And there are so many horrible, awful kind of things that are happening with our money, with our young men, that we're doing to other people in the world that we don't even know about. America doesn't even, if you ask somebody, like, name some of the countries that they're at war with, they wouldn't even know where they were, you know, or what's going on. So it's just absolutely huge. But on the bright side, I did read that there is not ever going to be another war because people are now beginning to have their awareness raised about all of these things. I mean, we know that there's propaganda. We know that we get told lies. Why would we carry on there? One of the best videos I've seen that explained the whole rationale behind it was every war is a rich man's war. And that's been taken off the internet. You know, but despite all of that, people are starting to become more conscious and aware. So yeah, let's hope that that's it now when it comes to war. Yeah, that's my piece.
Yes, I've gotten in trouble for repeating that. Every war is a rich man war. Every war is a banker's war. I've gotten personally in hot water for saying that. Nefertiti's been witness to that that conversation as well. But yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, and what comes up for me too, as well as having my father served during the Vietnam War, and he was sent to Korea, and I was thinking back when I'm very grateful he did not really see combat. He was more involved in the technology. He lost his best friend during the war, and one of the things that I noticed that's really polarizing in the United States is when people are in the military, there's this mantra where they love their country, but they hate their government, and I think that's what's causing a lot of the polarization effect in our society, because those who have not really fought in war, who have become a part of the counterculture, who have become educated. I'm seeing this fight in our country between the heart and the head, and it's I'm what comes up for me is how do we reconcile both intelligences, because there's a lot there, but it's this idea that we love our family, we love our culture, we love our friends, we love our connection to that, and but we hate the corruption, we hate the duplicity, we hate the mind games. So how do we have those honest conversations about that? So it's what's really coming up for me.
The universe has a wonderful way of honoring waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I want to be transparent in that. So first and foremost, I have what I'm experiencing physically is I'm experiencing a tightness in my diaphragm. And at the same time, I'm experiencing this like wide openness in the heart area. And I've just sort of been listening in and feeling in and sort of just being present and not really even knowing what I was going to say. So it's not like I have anything planned. I've just been sort of present to what everyone's been sharing and making a very conscious, I don't want to say effort, but just a conscious choice to do so. This is very real for me, like in ways that are incredibly sensitive. The life partner that I was with for 7 years, we separated last year in the midst of COVID, sold our house. And it was because in large part that I had spent the last 3 years caring for him. Very chronic, complex PTSD, combination of him serving over in Bosnia and the PTSD he suffered from his father. So I have witnessed it firsthand. I have cared for it. I have. Yeah. And he was just a baby. He was 18. He was trying to get away from his father, and he went from the frying pan into the fire because, of course, Canadian military are hired to be peacekeepers. And he had to turn into a killing machine. And has not recovered. Just a moment. I am so grateful for you, Nefertiti. Thank you. I think if more people took time to peel back the meanings and the assumptions around the words and the associations around the words, I think we would be much better off. I always chuckle when I hear about STEM because I've been part of conversations, as I'm sure you have all been part of conversations, where STEM needs to become STEAM and it needs to include the arts. Because that's what's going to give us steam. That's what's going to fuel our humanity to return to what it means to becoming more humane and connecting into our being. Yeah, just I think I mean there's so much, but I think at its core that's what I'm hearing and that's what I'm receiving, and I'm grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability, Trey, too. Thank you.
Amazing. I'm so grateful for each of you and all of you. there's a line that we have in our performance, Mike and I, the Wizard is about tears and crying. There's a question about it being weakness. Isn't crying just weakness? Isn't crying self-pity? All these questions. It's powerful to ask the question and see where that lands, because that's one reason why I do participate in this fellowship and the time bank and the Not on My Watch productions and my whole concept of renaming myself after I was divorced, Nefertiti Hoff, Hall of Fame. You know, I feel we all do belong here, right now. You know, tears detoxify us, help us shake off that which we no longer need. And it's okay to be vulnerable, because these safe spaces are here for us to be more. Start at the beginning, A. So I'm very grateful for the acknowledgement. Again, I don't know if my last slide said it, but it was let's eat, because that's been my theme for the whole entire previous presentations, facilitations, like EAT. I want to experience, acknowledge, together. It's like soul food. This is where I get fed. So it's 8 o'clock. Not sure if you wanted to wrap up maybe early or if you wanted to continue to talk. I really definitely wanted to have the space for this to land, and I feel like it has on many different levels. So again, thank you very much.
Very powerful.
Any more questions?
I think we should take a moment. Just take a moment and be with that. There's nothing wrong with silence. Nothing wrong with silence.
I desire to ring my Kinshaw one more time.
Love that sound.
Thank you.
I feel moved to just honor the whole process of healing too, and what that does for people, even if it's a simple layer or another layer. You know, because I know that's so beneficial, even for those who don't, the people, the women that I worked with, even if they didn't get all the way to 100% healing, they were so grateful to have taken some of those layers off. Um, and I get it because I've gone through, post traumatic stress. Not a disorder, and I really do believe that for some it does live like a disorder, but for even the average person, sometimes we walk around with so much post-traumatic stress that we don't even know, and it could go on for years undetected, really. But some people theorize that here in the US at least, even what occurred on 9/11, again, what we don't really know what happened. There's official statements and there's certain facts, and they're mixed up with a lot of disinformation, and so you have to kind of suss through. But what we kind of or at least, those, I had people who were in like in New York that day, so it was a very dramatic type kind of day. Maybe some people who weren't too close to it didn't have it, but I think we all experienced some type of traumatic stress, maybe globally, sure, but here in the U.S. Certainly. But there's just something very interesting about that, and I really agree with you, Trey. I think bringing more of the arts to it, more spirituality, more understanding, more generous listening, really, because the work that I did also with lifers in prison, one of the things that we came together, and we discovered together, was that it really does take that communication, is about disappearing whatever's there and stuck. And the more you can communicate, and the more you can be with someone who can listen generously, and the more there's almost like nothing to do but simply those actions. It's just simply deeply hear it, feel it, acknowledge that that's your experience. And much like what's happened here, you feel kind of some layer lifting, even if there's still more deep work to do, but there is some layer lifting. So thank you for that, Nefertiti. I really appreciate that.
I think as a society, we're very bad at feeling, aren't we? We're not really asked to take note of what we're feeling. In fact, we're asked to put it away if we do feel something, and kind of chin up. And that's another face thing, chin up and kind of carry on. And so it's kind of quite a skill, really, then, to actually notice what it is that you're feeling, and to teach other people how to notice what they're feeling. And, at the root of it, it's got to be all about that, because it's about turning fear into love, which is like the big equation that all the other equations fit into at the end of the day. Yeah.
And I think that's why fellowship is really important too, because when we're getting all of our information from a secondhand source like the media, everything is dedicated towards what to think instead of how to think. And I think how to think is feeling. And I think when we are able to be honest with each other and really acknowledge those feelings and come together in those spaces, I feel like that cultivates wisdom. I think there's intelligence and there's wisdom, and I feel like there's great wisdom to be tapped into through communication like this. One-on-one communication or small group communications where the energy is really focused, I think. So that's what helps me personally navigate the barrage of information that's always coming at me all the time. And I think a lot of you I've asked, when we're considering sources, or when we're considering connecting with organizations, is there a personal connection? Who is personally accessible? And that's what I find is a very powerful question, and why I very much honor and value, the small group communication, because I want to honor all of you and thank all of you for helping me to navigate all of that information. Marta, we have our weekly talks, and you help me clarify so much, just just by talking about how you feel, and how people feel on both sides of a polarity. And it's very much an emotional journey for me, and I'm just feeling need to feel grateful about that. Appreciation, curiosity, and appreciation, Trey. That's where I'm at right now.